DJ Metal Craig of Craig's Mailstorm here. I have a couple of the members of Nebelkrahe with me today. Hey, hopefully I got the band name right. And would you guys like to introduce yourselves and what positions you do in the band?
Hi, I'm Umbra. I'm the singer of Nebelkrahe.
And I'm Mark. I'm the guitarist and songwriter, more or less.
Would you guys mind going back in the history of Nebelkrahe and how the band all got started?
Yeah, sure. I think we were all young guys in our teenager years, so wanted to explore some songwriting, black metal, doing with our influences, testing out what we can do and where we can go with our songwriting skills. So that was basically it. I think we just tried to do our own thing, and I think it worked out very well already in the early years, because we already found some kind of our own style for the first record, I would say. And yeah, from there it just evolved until now. So it's not very spectacular, but I think a quite common band career, so to say, in the underground of black metal.
When did you guys found the band? Which year?
2007. So yeah, some years ago, pretty young back then, and took us some time until we found him as our vocalist. So in the beginning, we were only three guys doing it in instrumental style and covering some bands and songs. And then we were lucky enough to find him as our vocalist. And then I think everything went into his path to the first album and so on. So
here we are.
Here we are.
Right on. This next one might get you guys laughing a little bit. How did you guys come up with the band name Nebelkrahe?
Well, so it's a German word for a specific animal. It's hooded crow, I think, in English. So it's, at least it has some kind of meaning, but there's not a real connection to the animal or whatever. It was just a word that came into our mind, which sounded some kind of black metal, dark and atmospheric. So it's more about how the word sounds than about its meaning, I would say. So yeah, it doesn't have some kind of deep meaning. It's more an atmospheric sound or name, I would say.
And it, of course, also reflected the logo. Like you can see the hooded crow in the logo with the head pointing down.
Cool. Just so you guys, if you guys don't mind, who is the one that designed the Nebelkrahe band logo?
Yeah, that was me. Yeah. I did it myself, and in a very, very unprofessional way. So I painted it on a paper, and then I transferred it to my PC with Microsoft Paint. So I had to paint it really big for having it in a good resolution. So it was only a part of the logo on my screen, so it was kind of very hard to know where I am and what I have to draw there. And it was really difficult work, but in the end it worked. So I think no one sees that today. It looks pretty professional, I guess, but it wasn't at all.
Personally, I think it turned out really nice and amazing, man.
Thank you very much.
Also, I didn't know you were a graphic designer.
No,
own band logo.
No, I'm not at all. I never designed any other band logo or whatever, so it was just a one of a kind.
Okay, I didn't know that. Wasn't sure. For this next question, who's on the current band lineup of Nebelkrahe, and what instruments do they play?
Well, you see the two of us. So our vocalist Umbra, he's also playing the keyboards on the album and some other instruments. And I'm playing guitar from the beginning. Then we have a drummer. He's called Latrodectus. He's also a founding member of the band, so he's from the beginning with us. And we have two new guys which joined us in the last 2-3 years. Miserere, our new guitar player, and a new bass player called Nus. who already recorded without the last album. So he was then as a session member, part of the band, and he played already live. And our former band, bass player was not in the country. So we knew him already for many years, and so it was a completely logical choice to ask him if he want to join the band when we needed a new bass player. So that's the 5 of us.
Right on. 5 pieces are so awesome. Actually, just so you guys know, a little tidbit is I'm actually a vocalist myself on top of the DJ gig. I'm trying to get my band back going after an 18-year hiatus. It's more of a death metal band, but here's proof I'm a death metal vocalist.
Nice one.
Old DSI, Malignancy. I went from all the old school death metal bands, and I also have a bit of black metal in there too, like in DSI, but more of old school. You guys might know the band Black Funeral.
Yeah. Well, that's a great band.
Some people think, oh, I'm going to throw out my voice. So you know what's the funny thing? I've been doing those kind of vocal ranges since I was 16.
Very good. Right on.
Shoot, because of shooting the shit with you guys there, I lost my place in the questions. Let me just regroup myself here. One sec, guys. What are the band's immediate music career goals?
What are the goals for now? It would be great to get some reactions to the album. I mean, this album has been in the making for almost 10 years now, and we are super happy to finally have finalized the product, to have it out there, to have found a decent label that really supports us. So we're super curious about the reactions of the fans and the media to the album. And the second goal we have as Nebelkrahe is to have a couple of nice live gigs to be performed in the year 2024. For now, we only have one gig planned, the release gig in our hometown Munich, and we are on the lookout for new venues, possibilities, and maybe festivals to play on next year. That's probably the most immediate goal for now.
Yeah, I think that's basically it, because it was really a lot of work to put this album together. As he said, we worked about 10 years on this record. So I don't want to think about next record or whatever at the moment. I'm totally happy that we have done this one, and I just want to kind of enjoy the moment as well. So always this question about next album or what we're doing next, and so that's always deflects your view from where are you at the moment. And I think you always should also try to enjoy the moment where you are at the moment now. And after working 10 years on that album, I think it's also time to be satisfied for the moment and having this album done and giving it the time and giving the people the time to listen to it, and don't go straight to the next record or whatever. So I think best way would be to bring it on stage, as he said, trying to get some ways to promote it live, and doing some promotion as we do here now to get people interested or curious about what the album sounds like. So making the people listen to it and answering questions about it and talking about it. So I think that's kind of our goals for the near or next future, and then let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Right on. And just so you know, before we start talking about some questions in regards to the new album, I jammed the album before the interview with you guys. I feel you guys have a symphonic black metal / gothic metal vibe to the album you just did of 10 years in the workings. Very beautiful, excellent stuff, man.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's good to hear. Glad
Also,
you like it.
What were you going to say?
Glad you like it.
Yeah, that's coming from someone who's up here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, halfway across the world from you guys.
Thanks so much.
You got a Canadian DJ you're talking to, and we're going to ask you our next question. With the new album titled Ephemer coming out on Crawling Chaos Records, hopefully I got the label right, on October 27th, 2023, where can the album be pre-ordered or purchased?
So next week, today in 7 days, the second single will be released. So it's a digital single you can hear on all digital platforms, Spotify and whatever you want to call it. And that's that day the pre-order starts. So from next week on, you can order it via Bandcamp and the shop of our label. So their homepage, they are also sending to worldwide, so no problem to order it from the US or wherever you are. On September 27th, the pre-sale starts. So then you can order it, but not on the huge platforms like Amazon or whatever, because that's shit. Old school style, buy it from the band, from the label. That's where everyone has the best profit and best way to support bands and small labels as well.
Yeah.
This next one's a real good one. How did you guys come up with the album title Ephemer?
So the German word ephemer means ephemeral. It's the same word pretty much in English, which is fugacious, very fleeting, short-lived. And we are probably going to talk about this during the course of the interview. The album cover that we found actually inspired the title. So it's the other way around than you usually have it. We found the cover, or Mo found the cover, and he said, this has to be the cover for the new album. And then we came up with the title, just inspired by the cover, and also inspired by the cover, Mo wrote the lyrics for the title song, Ephemeral. And this is how the title came along.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of a puzzle where everything fell into its place. So it was I saw this picture and I thought, well, I have to use this picture as an artwork, and it fitted very well to the idea of what we had for the lyrics for the album. So we all had this loose concept, or however you want to call it. And then we had the cover and some lyrics, and then we had the idea for the album title, which fitted very well to both the cover and the concept. And then the cover inspired me to write the title track. So the lyrics of the title track are inspired by this picture. So it all fell together, or is really connected very, very closely together. So yeah, yeah, it worked. Everything found its place, I would say.
And just so you guys know, that album art is actually cool. I really loved it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Glad to hear that.
This next one, we're going to get you guys to talk about one song off the album in particular that kind of hit home with me, if you're cool with it. What were the themes and concepts behind the song Nielandsmond?
Good question.
Yeah. Do you want to
So Nielandsmann is not a real German word. It's a mixture of the words Neverland man. It's about this soldier somewhere around the frontier during the war, and he's completely lost. He doesn't know where he is, and he starts struggling with the concept of borders, because if there's nobody there to enforce the border, what is the meaning of the concept of a border? He runs around in the woods, completely disoriented, doesn't know where he is, doesn't know who's friend, who's foe. He just sees all the dead bodies and doesn't know which side they belong to. And he realizes that the entire concept of borders, like all the nationalist idiots propagate, is just a really stupid, made-up concept that completely loses its meaning when you're actually on the border. And this is what the song is about, this desperate soldier realizing that the idea of nations, of borders, of this nationalist fucked up shit to say, here's the border, you cannot cross it, just is completely a complete brain fuck, basically.
Who are the band's musical influences?
Tough question every time asked. On the one hand, you have so many bands we are listening to, and of course, every of those bands has some kind of influence on us, because how not? I mean, you listen to this shit and you of course get influenced by it in some way. But on the other hand, I never listen to an album and say, hey, that's what I want to do, or that's how I want to sound like or how I want to write a song. So that's always just back in your head, maybe. So I really can't give you influences that are definitely what made us sound as we sound, but there are many bands that influence us, of course. So I think, for example, the Swedish band Nebelkrahe was an influence, cause in a very particular way, because they have a really cool way how they arrange the vocals on the riffs. For example, it's very groovy. It always works very well together. So that was something I admired when I gave it a listen, and I thought, okay, that's the way how it has to work. But that's does not mean that our music sounds like their music in any way. It's only a way of songwriting that inspired me, maybe, for example. And that's, I think, how it works, that you see some techniques or skills at other bands work, and you try to adapt that or use that for your music, but not copycat just the melodies or the way they are writing riffs or whatever. That makes you a generic, useless band. So no one needs a second version of band whatever. So I think influence is always to be understood as just influencing you in a way, doing something. And I think, of course, the melodic Swedish bands like Dissection, Nagelfar, with this combination of very melodic parts, calm parts, clean guitars, whatever, with harsh riffing and screams. I think that's some direction. And also in the German black metal, there are many bands that influenced us in a way. So, for example, Dark Fortress or Secrets of the Moon. So Bethlehem maybe as well. So there are many bands that influenced us in a way, but I can't pick a special influence we tried to sound like, I would say.
Agreed.
I get you guys there. That's all good. You gave a good talk about musical influence, and that's awesome with me. Does the band have any band gear endorsements?
I wish we had.
No, we don't.
Would be fine, and I think at least our drummer would totally deserve it, because he's hell of a drummer, but we don't, but we never tried as well. So I'm not really familiar with this entire part of the business, to be honest. I just buy my shit and play a bit. So I'm not a very skilled guitarist as well. I'm doing what I do just for the purpose, what I need. So I'm not very technical or whatever. I play our songs, and I think that works very good, but I'm not that shredder or whatever who's maybe a good idol or whatever you want to call it for a company. So there's no use for anyone to endorse me, to be honest.
Me, myself, I'm hoping to get endorsed at some point by Shure microphones. That's my preferred microphone for death metal vocals. I use a Shure 87A beta condenser mic. Haven't blown it out yet, but I'm going to tell you guys a funny story while I got you in here. I was doing a show on 666 night, had the mic about that far away from me, but for a high street, grindcore street, I blew the PA speaker out with it.
Oh, really?
So it's the speaker right.
So you need a speaker endorsement.
Nice.
Where
have you guys toured?
Only in Germany so far. So we didn't come far for now, I would say. It's only gigs in northern Germany, I would say. So, but on the other hand, we never played that much. So we are not a band that tried to get every gig we could get or play every gig we could get just to play, and didn't.
Can we play in Austria? I think we.
Yes, we played once in Austria. Yeah, so
which is only 30 miles away from where we are, but still, we played in Austria. So.
Yeah, so Germany and Austria, but nothing else yet. So let's see what future will bring.
Yeah.
So
hopefully, if you guys do get a big tour going for yourselves with a label, hopefully it'll come up to Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada for a show. I'd love to see you guys live at some point.
That would be great. We'll let you know if we make it up there.
If there's any way, we will do it, of course. But Yeah, for now, I think some other countries would be more realistic
In reach, yeah.
So in reach, yeah. So let's see what the future brings.
How does it feel being signed to Crawling Chaos Records?
Just amazing, to be honest. So it was a long way, and of course we tried or asked at a lot of bigger, more famous, whatever labels, and everything we got back was shit, either because they were not interested or they talked shit because they didn't want to sign small bands because it's too expensive to release music from artists that are not already well known. So even if they were interested in the music or thought that the music would fit into their roster, they were not interested in spending money for it. And the only offer we had was shit as well, because he didn't want to bring out the album in all physical ways we wanted to do. So it was very important for us to make a vinyl version as well. And he only wanted a CD jewel case, so the cheapest version you can bring out. And that's not my idea of this album, because it was always important for me that if I work 10 years on an album, in the end, I want to have a product in my hands that looks exactly as as I wanted to have it. So that was really the highest or the most important part for me, that we get something in the end we are 100% satisfied with. And if someone would not fulfill this for me, that would not be a deal. So there were not many offers in the end that came or were at least interesting for us at all. So and then Holger from Calling Chaos came around, and he was completely impressed and loved the album from the first listen. And yeah, he was the man who was willing to support the band in every way. So we got in the end every product we wanted to have. So T-shirts, patches, CD as a really nice digipack, vinyl version, exactly as we wanted it. So it was our complete freedom how we want to have it, and he just agreed with it and didn't want to talk or say anything about it or have any influence on that. And that was very, very helpful for us. So because you, as a small band, you never know how many people in the end are interested in your album or give a fuck about it at all. So I did not want to destroy my dream of how it shall look like just to make it for a few people cheaper or whatever. And that's not my idea. So in the end, we did it for us, and that was why we wanted it to look as we want to have it. And that was exactly where he supported us in a really, really great way. And he offered us a very fair deal. And we're talking, I think, every day about some shit. And he's supporting us with everything and handling our band camp merch store and is ordering the merch for us and doing a lot of this business shit I don't want to care about. So I think that's the best you can get from a label. And the point is that because it's a very small label, it's not that you are only one of 1,000. So he has so few bands that he can really take care of every of those bands, and he does. So he really cares about the people, and he's really trying to make everyone satisfied and trying to fulfill every wish. And that's more you can get at every big label or any big label. So that's, I think it was the best step we could do at the point where we were back then, and still very, very satisfied with everything he does for us. And I think he is also satisfied with what he gets from us. So I think it's kind of a perfect relationship at the moment.
Right on. And before we get into the last 6 questions of the interview, I'd like to thank Nathan from Crawling Chaos Records, the PR guy of it, for setting us up with this interview today. Nathan from
Nathan is not really connected with Crawling Chaos. He's only doing the PR for us. So he's external and he's doing it on his own. So he's just engaged to do the promotion for the album. The Crawling Chaos guy, his name is Holger. He's a German guy.
Okay, I didn't know that. I wasn't sure what was going on there. I just thought I'd thank Nathan for the interview with us today. I didn't know he was part of the label. My bad.
No problem.
It was the sixth last question of the interview. Do you guys have any favorite moments when in the studio?
When it's fucking done, that's the best moment.
Yeah, the last moment is maybe the best, but in the studio is it's you have to. We were not in the studio only for one session also. So we did the drums in early 2020, I think, just before the pandemic hit, and then everything was closed down in Germany. So there were no studios open or whatever. So we had to start recording on our own and do the entire guitar, bass and vocal session at home recording, doing it on our own because there was no place open where you can do it. And then we went back to the studio just for mix and mastering later. So the work in the studio was kind of chilled because it was only reamping what we already did and then doing some detail work for the sound and some stuff. What can we add here, or how can we make it sound as it should sound here? And so it was kind of cool time in the studio, but not really work for us, I would say.
But I mean, I've done a couple of records this style, and also Nebelkrahe has done this before, where we basically record all the tracks on our own, and then we bring all the tracks to the studio. And this is probably my favorite moment in the studio, when you realize that the guy behind the mixing console, when it clicks, when you realize, okay, now he knows where we want to go, what our vision of the album is, and when you realize this guy has nailed it now. And Victor, who did the mix and master for this album, he got into the material pretty fast, and you give him the raw tracks, and then you come back and he has a first rough mix, and you realize, okay, cool, you really got all the details straight, and you really understand where we are headed with this album. And this is probably the nicest moment to realize, okay, the pressure's gone. This guy knows what he's doing. He understands our vision, and he's really working in the same direction as we are. And this happened with Victor in the beginning of this year. And this was a very reassuring moment to see that everything goes the way we hoped it to go with him.
This next one might get you guys laughing a bit. What are some of your favorite moments when on tour?
I wish I could answer. So ask me in a few years maybe. But
We've done a few smaller club tours.
Yes.
No, it's I mean, you have those really nice encounters backstage. Some are not so nice, some are really cool. I remember one really nice gig in Ulm. We played with Farsot, which are really cool guys. It was very relaxed. In the backstage area to hang out, talk to them.
Meeting cool guys you play with and talk to them backstage and so on. It's always nice. But I think most part of touring and as well as doing single gigs is not about having fun, to be honest, because it's more like work, and and beforehand I'm quite nervous, to be honest, and afterwards I'm just tired, so not that much time to have fun. Maybe in between. I think my favorite moment is always when we are in the middle of the last song, because then you can't fuck up it that hard that anyone will hate you. So I think when you made it to the middle of the last song of your set, you can say, okay, now you can enjoy what you're doing, and then everything is fine. And then you go off the stage and have to do shit again and be at the merch and put your stuff away and try not to forget any expensive gear anywhere on stage or whatever. And mostly you're in a rush because there's another band following up after you. And so it's yeah, when it's done, it's totally cool, but I'm not always the most chilly person in beforehand, or maybe also during the gig. But I like it.
That leaves us with the third last question of the interview before I get into the station IDs. Do you have any friends or family you'd like to give shout outs to during this interview?
Sure. I think first of all musicians that helped us make this album sound as it sounds. So we had so many great guys that helped us out with playing some instruments I could only dream of being able to play them. So it was totally crazy, and that was I think an important part of what made this album be what it is now. So thanks to everyone involved and helped us. I think that the most important part when it comes to the music, and of course friends, family, everybody who's supporting us and giving us the time to spend on this band and album and all the other bands we know. So I think a lot of people, but I won't start name anyone by name here because I can only fail by forgetting anyone else.
Yeah.
So.
This next one's a really good one before we get into the last question of the interview. Do you have any other projects you are working on right now? Or would you like to give them a plug? As in any side projects outside of what you're working on for
I
the
have a
band?
project that I'm working on. There's a little project called Perdition's Light. It's also a black metal band situated south of Munich, and we are releasing our second album probably at the end of the year via Talheim Records. And I recently joined another black metal band from the south of Germany called Thorngoth. They've been around for a long time, and they've been inactive for about 10 years, and I joined them as a singer, and we want to re-record some old albums and then see where we're going. And then on itself, there is still an avant-garde project called Atrorum, which is in hiatus for about 8 years, and we are currently looking through the tracks that we have left from the last album and see whether we can make anything new of it. But my focus would still be on Nebelkrahe to get some gigs running into 2024. And when we have presented the album, I would like to push for the next recording, but this will be probably the subject of our next interview with you.
So this was the last question of the interview, and I'll need the station ID from you guys. The last question is, what new band news do you have on the Nebelkrahe front? Is anything we might have missed so far in this interview?
Well, I think nothing we missed. I think the most important part or next step for us is the release of the next single next week. So we did a really cool professional video shooting for that one. So it comes with a really cool music video as well. So you all should check it out on YouTube next week, 27th of September. And then, yeah, we will looking forward for the release 4 weeks later, so October 27th. And then let's see what happens, I think, because I don't plan any further, to be honest. So I don't wanna have any other project in my mind right now, because it's a lot of work doing all the social media promotion, whatever stuff for this album, and I don't have the time or the capacity in my mind to plan or think about anything else at the moment, music-wise, to be honest. So at the moment, it's just focused on the release of the album, and then let's see what happens later.
Yeah, thank you for the comprehensive interview, Craig. I think you nailed it. Nothing to add.
You're welcome. We got 2 things to do still, and we're out of here. And the first one is, hey, this is your name. I'm Nebelkrahe, and you're listening to Mangled Music Radio as the first station ID, and usually we'll do one station ID like that. Whenever you're ready.
Hey, this is Umbra from Nebelkrahe, and you're listening to Metal Radio.
It's Mangled Music Radio.
Hey, this is Umbra from Nebelkrahe, and you're listening to Mangled Music Radio. Thank you.
And when you're ready.
Hey, I'm Mark from Nebelkrahe, and you're listening to Metal Music, and go on, rock on.
The last one we'll do. Actually, you know what? We'll just get the station IDs. I'll email you the information for them, and you can email me back the audio clips for the 2 station IDs if that's okay.
Sure.
You guys have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you very much for the time in this interview.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you're most welcome. I'll get the interview up on YouTube as soon as I'm out of here.
Okay, perfect.
Good one, guys.
Have a great day.
See ya.
Talk to you.
Bye.